Hello, hello, it's Lorenzo. I'm back with the Kerbal Space Program Point 24 Exploration stream. If you're an archive viewer, you won't have noticed a thing, but yeah, there was a few hours of non-streaming going on. Without going into it too much, the dog had gotten himself into a situation which needed outside intervention. And then there was some visitors, and then there was some sun, and you know, sometimes things fall apart. But they're falling together again, and we will continue resuming, carrying on streaming now for about 90 minutes, after which I will have to tend to my own needs by cleaning and eating and socializing and doing stuff like that. But we should at least be able to rescue Lodball. And when we left, we were doing this maneuver node thingy, trying to get a rendezvous set up with him. Let's have a look. Can we meet him over there? We can't really. This wouldn't work so well. So instead we'll just get into orbit and try and do a rendezvous from there. Of course, our vessel is unmanned because the seat is reserved for Lodball. Contracts, we are... Oh yeah, we're going to try and do the radial parachute thing on the way back, and we have to transmit or recover scientific data from space around Kerbin. I mean, let's just do so immediately. We will transmit that, and it will not be any... there won't be any scientific gains, but we will have performed this contract. Look at that, we just got 31 grand and some vaguely specific number of reputation. Cool. Now we just need to rescue Lodball, so let's focus on that task. Hey, and that's Dropulet in chat. Hello there. It says finally able to make it to one of your streams. I've not seen you before, but you're most welcome. This is the second part of today's Point 24 stream, where we just basically are exploring the new version. And also hello to Rule, of course, who has been, you know, I hope not faithfully staring at the screen until I came back, because that took quite a while, but nonetheless, welcome back. We are in the business of rescuing Lodball, as of course we always were. Oh, hey, that's Christian, I think St. George or something like that. Anyway, not that good with names, but regardless of who you are, welcome to the stream. Let's see about setting up a rendezvous. The game will tell me that we have a good rendezvous sort of now, but yeah, we'd crash into the ocean first, so not that good a rendezvous if you ask me. Right, this is a bit of a screwy orbit to make a rendezvous out of because of this rising apoapsis. So let's fix that by burning a little bit upwards. That does not fix it, but... oh well. Oh, I thought, why is the periapsis not... Cool, I remembered someone's name, the chat is going wild. Wonderful. Anyway, this stage has burned out, so let's ditch that. No need to recover, and we're now moving with a much more nimble rescue craft, which we shall point almost straight up, just to raise the periapsis so that we don't fall back into the atmosphere before actually rescuing Lodball. Right, so here we have a periapsis of 71 kilometers. Oh, we're almost falling back into the atmosphere already. Fortunately, we can't permit ourselves a small inefficiency like that because, well, we have all the delta V in the world. Right, so inclination is exactly right. The game put Lodball at a very, very easy to reach inclination. Thanks, game. That was very nice of you. So let's see if we can make a maneuver that will end with a rendezvous. You can see some flickering. There's an indicator there. 36 kilometers. That seems nice. 15 kilometers, even better. I'm confident we will be able to make a nice encounter. Right, yeah, Eastern Canada, there will be some time zone differences in that. Fortunately, I stream at fairly random times, basically whenever I get the time. Could be at night, could be in the daytime. So there is an equal opportunity, well, not exactly equal, but there are distributed opportunities for everyone right around the world to enjoy the goodness, which is me. Oh yes. Enjoying? Hope so. Let's see. The Lodball Rescue Burn. Then we'll have to recap at the Space Center to find out what it is that we're going to do next. So just taking away the meters per second of delta V. Everyone in chat is applauding me for my amazing humanitarian efforts, for thinking of everyone in the world. Oh, you're all so fortunate. Wonderful. It's a wonder people put up with me. Yeah. So, under 100 kilometers of separation on the rendezvous. 7, 6, 5, 4, 4 kilometers. That'll do it. Let's have a quick time warp all the way around. And it does seem as though our electric charge is fine. Our funds are also fine, more than fine. We're at $322,000 funds or credits. And that will, well, enable us to do pretty much whichever thing we please. So, we are coming up on Lodball, and Lodball's oddball will slow down and catch him. Let's just go ahead and do that. That's proceeding fairly quickly here. Things are evolving rapidly. Maybe I'd started that deceleration burn a little bit too quickly. There, Lodball is receding into the black void, seeing his rescue craft streak by and being impotent as to affect any change in the situation. Fortunately, the craft's drive plume is more than up to the task and will come and grab Lodball in short order. There we go, pointing at the target now. Let's make it a brisk 70-ish. Screw it, let's go for around 100 meters per second of intercepting velocity. Means we'll be there in about a minute. And of course, that's a little bit too long to just stare into the black abyss. Let's time warp to 5 times, making that about 10 seconds. No, that's quirky, strange math, but here we go. 1500 meters away. Time to decelerate. 50 meters per second of closing velocity. And that's about all there is to say for this rescue mission. I don't know how Lodball got himself stranded here. There's no sign of any ships, debris, alien vessels, wormholes, space stations, or stray scientific experiments. Must mean there are some eggheads back on Kerbin which are hard at work experimenting with teleportation, which is scary for many reasons. Right, let's see about closing to Lodball. I think I should control him. Rule is asking in chat for a recap of the point 24 stuff. I will do so as soon as we conclude this mission, which should not take very long at all. Right, here we have Lodball. One of the important things that is new, of course, is that it now actually matters whether or not Kerbals die. And it matters in the way that that screws up your reputation. And reputation, more so than funds, is what determines what kinds of contracts you get. So if you kill all your Kerbals launching to the moon, the contracts might revert to stuff on Kerbin. So it doesn't actually look so much at your actual achievements. It does in a way though, because these achievements give you reputation on their own, but it looks at your reputation and thus gives you contracts. So don't kill your Kerbals. That's important. The thing in the by the way, we have Lodball right on board. That's nice. Also, I said I'd do a thing, like explain when we'd be back in the scene, and then did something else entirely, such as immediately starting the explanation. But this is how things work sometimes. We'll just have to deal with it. So what we have is a reputation system. It's this slider. I don't think the units matter so much because they're completely illegible. And we've been doing fairly well. We've only gained reputation thus far and not lost it. So if you kill a Kerbal, we can experiment with this and try and kill a Kerbal next, see what happens. see what happens with the reputation there. Just reading the chat, and Rules wondering if there's actually a game element. Yes, this is full stock. I have installed no mods, just got the new 0.24 update. One of the resources is reputation. You get that for completing missions and for taking Kerbals home safely. This is science, pretty much unchanged from the previous versions, and this obviously are your funds, and so far they appear plentiful. You start with 10,000, and every contract so far basically advances you some cash, which on its own is almost enough to do the mission, and then upon success they reward you the reward. There are failure states where if you don't do the contract you get penalized financially, but I'm having a little bit of trouble imagining any situation where you'd actually run into that, because it's not like this launch is for this contract. If it fails, the contract fails. No, you have a set deadline. You can do as many launches as you want, and any of the launches can complete the contract. So what ends up happening is that if you fail, you can just turn around, spend as much time as you need in the VAB, and launch again a minute later in game time. So even if you have like only 3 days to do the contract, that's basically infinite. The only way you'd fail a contract is if you'd actually decide, like, screw it, I'm not going to do this contract anymore. And I suppose it could happen that you take up a contract which is too difficult, and thus you won't be able to do it, and thus decide not to do it. But that's a little bit far-fetched, I think. So the failure states are not that relevant. Furthermore, the rewards so far have been nothing short of monumental. So it's not as much a constraint as a side consideration, but maybe that will change. And of course it will change in mods and that kind of stuff. So we got here is the notification bar. So you've got Lot Ball Kerbin is now in our space program because we rescued him. That's good. And well, we got a part of the rendezvous contract, so we got some funds for that. Next mission we will fly a nice R&D mission, because lots of the contracts are very, very specific. They will tell you, like, activate a booster at altitude between altitudes X and Y whilst going at speed Z between P. If you crash 10 rockets, Rules asking, so what happens if you crash 10 rockets? At this point, if I were to crash 10 rockets, I'd have about half my funds remaining. So there's a lot of room for crashes. If you crash your funds all the way to 0, because you could do that, I suppose, you could probably just dump all your contracts, incur the failures, have 0 money, and then take new contracts and attempt to do them with the advance money you get. So in that way, I don't think it actually is possible to get stuck where you can't purchase any parts. Because I think most of the contracts, definitely the simpler ones, are available, are possible to complete with the advanced funds. So in that way, that's good. I suppose if you crash lots and lots of rockets, your reputation will also drop, leading to simpler contracts, which are then easily achieved with the advanced money. I'm now imagining a situation where you do lose all your cash, but keep your reputation sky high. So you're crashing lots and lots of unmanned stuff, or just sending it off on stuff that you don't have missions for. In that case, I can imagine that your contracts will be advanced. But your budget won't be, leading to the situation, oh shit, we have to test our thing. Look, we have to test the radial thing traveling at 11 kilometers, between 11 and 14, going slower than 600 meters per second. So I think this entry corridor will allow us to do that, because we are slowing down. So this here, that's a little bit unstructured of me, but here now we deploy the parachutes and we complete that R&D thing. So you get like specific criteria of when to test a part, and they didn't specify to do it at night, but that sort of happened. And then you get some cash for that, and you immediately get the cash. So for the contracts, it doesn't matter whether your ship lives or dies. That's just a reputation thing. I think that pretty much covers the whole new system. I'll have a look at the contracts building, the mission control building in a bit. The contracts are procedurally generated, so the text that accompanies those is fairly hilarious at certain intervals, at certain points. I'll show you that. And I think the tech tree itself is relatively unchanged. And what else is there? I haven't mucked about with any mods or the 64-bit version. Brista told me in the Steam chat that Steam actually reverts to, or defaults to, the 32-bit version, so that's probably what I'm running now. And well, that still works fine, as do all the other things. I think we're gonna land in the water off the coast of this small island. You do get something else that happens is you get money back now from landing your things on Kerbin. And you get more money if you get closer to the KSC. So, for example, if you recover something from the launch pad without launching it, you get 100% refund, which, well, makes sense. So if you press launch and something horrible happens at the launch pad, or you decide that that's actually not the shape the rocket should be, you can go back without a penalty. If you land it like at the KSC but not the launch pad, you get 98%. And from there on it drops down. I got like 92% at 50 kilometers and something like 78%, I think, at a reasonable distance of 300 something kilometers. So we'll see. This is, I think, pretty far from the KSC. Yeah, it's almost as far as you can get, like 2/3 of the way there. So we'll see what the almost minimum amount of recovery will be from there. Let's see, do we have any goo to do here? Well, we can take 1.6 science. Hey, we are actually on land. Who'd have thought? So we'll find out what the recovery percentage is. Hello, Coryzilla, another long-time viewer coming into the chat, enjoying point 24. Look at that. We got the science window here. This is pretty much unchanged from the previous version. I think it's exactly the same. And here we have the parts, the stuff that we recovered. So we're now almost 800 kilometers away from the KSC, and that leaves us with 60% of the value. Now, compared to 98% from at the KSC, there's actually a decent incentive of landing close to the KSC. That's neat. It gives you money for the parts, obviously, but also for the resources. So there's well, full refunds available. Yeah, Rule saying in chat that I would get 1 million more views a minute if I had a webcam view and a jingle. I'm considering just paying some internet freelancer like $50 to get a nice jingle going, and I should probably order a webcam. I do have a camera, and if I can attach that to the screen with a USB cable, maybe that will serve. Then I can put on crazy outfits and, you know, be a brand and have millions of views. It's something I've been intending for a long time, but, you know, never get around to doing. As with many things, streaming is like something I do when I have a spare moment. It's not something I've devoted resources and time to, well, apart from time, obviously. Maybe I should change that. Anyway, crew, Lodball, got some reputation. I thought at first that this reputation was Kerbal specific, but it is reputation for the program. At first you get like 25 reputation for every crew member that returns safely, but Jebediah has returned lots and lots of things. Instant fame is a good idea. That's what Christian is saying. So yeah, I should probably get on that and work on that. But the weather is so nice. I either want to be streaming or swimming or doing things. So it might very well be many months before it happens. But hey, you know, it might happen. It might happen tomorrow. No way to predict. Right. So this is the new mission summary window with 3 tabs: science, parts, and crew. And here we have a new building, the mission control building. Here we have the notification that we completed the contract for rescuing Lodball. And what I do now is basically I go to the mission control building, select the mission, then visit the R&D building to do research accompanying that mission. And then the mission. So here we have a bunch of contracts. So we got like these general contracts like explore Duna. We get orbit around Duna, transmit or recover scientific data, and land on Duna, and there's no time limit. So these are just the basic milestone things. Explore Ike, same deal here. Explore Minmus, the same again. So basically we have here orbit around Minmus, transmit or recover scientific data from space around Minmus, land on Minmus, transmit or recover scientific data from the surface of Minmus. basically all the parts of a Minmus mission. No exploration, you can do this anytime. Here to plant a flag on the moon, which then would have to happen within 3 days. Or in 10 years. I don't know how that works. We could go do that, but we're just on the moon. Corzila's offering in the chat he could make a jingle. I'd love that. Make it short, like 3 seconds. And then I can pay the freelancer to make a nice graphic to accompany it. Yeah, if I like it, I'll use it for sure. And you know, if I happen to get rich, I'll send you a check for a few $1,000. I don't know, I'm not thinking of anything specific, just something recognizable and jolly. It shouldn't grab attention on its own. That just gets annoying. You see these YouTube videos that have like a almost Hollywood style intro with lights and fonts and messages, and it takes like 10 or 15 seconds, and it's just incredibly annoying. Not that, just something like you would do on a radio. And someone else in chat is noting that the expiration date means that it will vanish from this window in 3 days, and if I accept it, I'll have 10 years to complete it. So what I was saying before, that the failure states really aren't so very relevant, very much applies. Right, so what we're going to do now is basically slap together a R&D mission. We're not going to go to all these places. I mean, we've done it a million times before. We want to play around with this system. So we get this mission, this contract here, and I'll read you the procedurally generated mission text. It seemed pretty for a disheveled engineer from Rockomax conglomerate pulling another all-nighter that we had to have a live test to really know whether some parts were more notorious than other parts. Admittedly, the amount of time there would be another unintended ignition was how we wondered if our Rockomax Poodle liquid engine was better than all the others. Long story short, we now need your help. Sure thing. And they want you to test the Rockomax Poodle liquid engine in flight over Kerbin. Sounds simple, right? So we have to be at Kerbin, we have to be flying, we have to be within 1100 meters to 10,100 meters, and the engine has to light at speeds between 360 and 560 meters per second. So yeah, that's fine. The rewards for this are tiny. You get like 2400 stuff, some science and reputation. You want to chain these together, and which is something we're going to do. So they want us to test the 48-7S while landed. That's really easy. Also gives us very, very low amount of funds, but we'll do that. They want us to use the stacked decoupler at an altitude between 11,800 meters and 17,000 meters at a slow speed. Sure, let's do that. And they want to test the LV1 liquid fuel engine whilst orbiting Kerbin. This gets us a lot more cash. Let's go ahead and do that one as well. And they want us to test the 1R liquid fuel engine on an escape trajectory. And so this, you can't really chain this one and the previous one, because the test only fires if you activate the part through the staging thing, if these conditions are met. So then we need to activate a new one. So let's see which... this is the LV1 and this is the LV1R. So yeah, let's do this one as well. And then build a rocket to accommodate all that. Now these parts are not unlocked by me as of yet. They're not unlocked as of yet, but you get to do experimental versions of them. And Punkalflufen or Flufen? My screen is too small to read this. Punkalflufen is saying that these strange requirements are best stated by space planes, which I think is a very reasonable assessment. Were it not for the fact that I have absolutely 0 plane parts unlocked. We can muck around with planes after this when we spend some science. So let's have an R&D party first. So we will make this a manned science test, because what's the point otherwise? Need someone to write down all this data. So this is going to come back down. Easy peasy. No, actually we'll leave that attached. So we'll start at the top. Oh, that's great. Yeah, contract. So we need to lift off using the 48.7S. That will be a challenge because those are the small ones. The stack decoupler needs to fire. The stack decoupler needs to fire in flight over Kerbin fairly slowly. So we shall... What kind of stack decouplers? That's this one. So that will be our final thing. We'll do that on the way down. What needs to be tested in orbit? That is the LV1 liquid fuel engine. Which that's this one. No, it's the 1R. That's this one. Oh, that's incredibly weak. So we'd better take like 1 million of those. Can we... Oh shit, it only goes on the bottom? Right on, so that is going to be our tiniest engine, and this fuel tank is not going to be full. Because otherwise it will be far too heavy. Alright then, so this is our orbit engine, which will also deorbit us. Yeah. And the LV1R will be tested on an escape trajectory out of Kerbin. So we will first establish a... Oh shit, we got this, and this is going to be a weird... This is going to be a weird, strange engine. A weird, strange rocket. But we knew that already. Because this 1R is going to have to take us back... Yeah, awesome, I'm gonna be superstar is what people in the chat are saying. This rocket is going to have to go on an escape trajectory and then get back using the LVR series. So fortunately this one is radial, so we can attach a fuck ton of them. Boom. This is going to take us back to Kerbin from an escape trajectory. I think that's fair enough. Yeah. Then this one will take us back to, or this one will be tested in orbit and will also deorbit us. And the stack decoupler will happen on... We might do so on ascent actually. Yeah, we'll test that on ascent. The Poodle engine... No, we'll test this on descent because otherwise we get too much stuff to drop away. That's annoying. Right, so now we have to do lots and lots of fuel tanks in order to accommodate the Poodle tester. We'll make a nice simple asparagus, well not asparagus stage, but just a simple drop tank setup. Strange way to do that, but that doesn't matter. Struts, and we'll have fuel lines. Uncle Floofen is saying he's got to go to bed, but likes the channel to grow because my commentary is good. Thanks for the endorsement and have a good night. And I'm going to not read the chat for a few seconds as I finish this ship. There will be enough coasting and doing things to, well, make for time for that. Right, so this is the Rockomax that will be tested almost immediately, and now then we need a 487S engine thing to get us up to 1100 meters and 360 meters per second. So we're going to use boosters for that bit. We'll attach them here, but we'll not tell anyone. Let's at least do the boosters there, and then we'll have, which is the 487S. Yeah, this one won't actually be used that much. I have a small fuel tank. And Rule is asking in chat whether the multiplayer is implemented. It has not been implemented. There is no multiplayer here. Actually, I did not check, but there was no mention of it on the forums or anything, so I don't think it was. Right, launch clamps to make everything stable. So, just running through things. We need to test this engine whilst landed at Kerbin. So that's... yeah, not going to do anything. 2 boosters are also not going to get the whole thing up to speed, because the whole thing needs to get up to 1 kilometer. And let's see, where is our... Yeah, the whole thing needs to get up to 1 kilometer and 360 meters per second before reaching 10 kilometers, before we can fire the poodle. So we had better add some more boosters, just so that that may actually happen. So let's ditch these things. Add some more boosters, so that that has a decent shot of happening. So see, this chaining of research contracts makes for nice crazy rockets with weird requirements. I quite like that. It is a fun thing to do. Nathan just is asking in chat, like, what the hell am I building? Look at the contracts window. We took some R&D contracts. We need to test our Poodle engine, which is lighted between 1 and 10 kilometers whilst going at 360 meters per second. We need to test the Rockomax 487S whilst landed at Kerbin. We need to test the stack decoupler whilst flying at Kerbin between 11 and 17 kilometers, but going slower than 490 meters per second, but faster than 90. We also want to test the LV1 liquid fuel engine whilst orbiting Kerbin. And we want to test the LV1R liquid fuel engine whilst on an escape trajectory out of Kerbin. So we want to combine all of that into one flight, which is what this rocket is hopefully going to achieve. So we will launch with all the boosters and this tiny engine, satisfying the test to test this engine whilst landed. Then we will quickly ditch it because it will not contribute any meaningful amounts of thrust. Then hopefully these boosters will lift us to 1100 meters and exceed 360 meters per second, which is fairly fast. Then we'll light the Poodle engine here, which will then take the remaining rocket on an escape trajectory out of Kerbin, where these engines, all these LV1Rs, will reverse course and take us back to orbit, where this singular LV1 engine will deorbit us, thus being tested in orbit, where then the separator will be fired at the appropriate altitude and hopefully speed, taking the Kerbal pilot, which is Jebediah, to safety. That's the plan, and I think we have a decent shot of doing it. We only have to fix the boosters in their proper orientations. And this engine also has to fire. Actually, that engine must fire first, just to be sure. Then these boosters will fall. The small boosters will fall first, I think. Then the outer boosters. And then, which decoupler is this? Yeah, that decoupler will fire immediately here. And we need to possibly light the Poodle before dropping the boosters. So we might have to rejigger. We might have to rejigger the staging whilst on the fly. Rule saying that these contracts offer new possibilities for KSP contracting, which they do. I might incorporate it or just devise something new entirely. Right. So what is this? If this is dropping those things, what is this dropping? Oh, so we have that in between there. Then the next step is dropping this and firing all of those. We're going to keep them separated because of course we have to do trajectory stuff. I'm going to separate out these two as well, because if the first stage doesn't do the complete trajectory, then we can start and then still fire some engines for the contract. Then separate this engine, separate parachute. Sounds good. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're on the launch pad. Let me do my spam in case there's any viewers that haven't bought this game. Go do it. It's nice. It's awesome. You have lots of fun with it. Just look at us here. Right. We first need to test this crazy engine. Throttling up to full, firing that engine, satisfies one contract requirement. Boom. We made 300 funds, you guys. Okay, so now comes the part where we're just going to leave the launch pad and So when do we activate the Rockomax? We activate that at 360 meters per second or more, because that's not going to happen below 1100 meters. Here we go. Boom. Wait, why is this not firing? Why is this thing still attached? Oh well. Oh, because that actually contributed meaningful amounts of thrust. Nice, good to know. It's not... Nathan saying in chat, looks good so far, but of course it's still nailed to the ground. Right, ditching these. We need to accelerate faster. We need to get to 360 meters per second before we can fire the Poodle engine, and we need to reach that speed before 10 kilometers of altitude. Yeah, we're not gonna make it. Shit. Well, that was most of our mission. So we did fire the Poodle now. Will this Poodle actually take us on an escape trajectory out of Kerbin? That's the question. Probably not, because this Poodle engine is really weak. I forgot about that. It's large, but it's really weak. Well, shit. This is a disaster. That costs some money. But you see here, it costs a very low amount of money. So not that bad, but... Yeah. Yeah, no, this is not proceeding very well. If... See, the chat has the solution. The answer is, of course, more boosters. More boosters indeed. Lots more boosters. Now we can't just exit the mission here. Well, we could revert flight, but that just feels so much more like cheating now that we're working with funds. We actually want to land this thing. Oh, I staged, which was a big mistake, I think, because those tanks were full. But then again, we can't really land with full tanks. Can we land with this though? We would want to, for the recovery value. I think we will be able to land this needle, especially if we also trigger the parachute. Wait, maybe we can still trigger the decoupler at a... No. No, we could have, but now we're too low again, so that we won't be able to do that. Wait, we will activate these engines just to help. Nice, now we have more thrust to weight even. And we will activate the parachute as well, and we'll land the whole thing for recovery value. Let's pop the parachute just to be sure. Fire the engine a bit. See, we want to do this because then we get money back. That's a good incentive. That's a nice gameplay mechanic. I could have just popped the capsule. I still can if it turns out we need to do that. But now it's not. It's more interesting to land as much as possible so we get recovery value. Now there is a challenge. I mean, we're balancing on thrusters now, which is fine. But as soon as the parachute deploys, these thrusters will actually start taking us up again. So then we need to quickly cut them, but not completely. So there's little maneuvers still in store. So we're going down now at 20 meters per second, which I think is more than this engine will be able to handle. But then again, that's why it is an engine. 10 meters per second. Oh, the shadow vanished. Oh, there it is again. Nice. Well, we did do one thing. We did do the ground test, which honestly I don't know why these companies contract rocketry experts to do ground tests. I mean, sure, they had managed that themselves if they had a product, put it on the ground and test it. But here we go. We can take this back into the center, and see, we got a 98% refund for those parts because we landed them right at home, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. Okay, so more boosters it is. More boosters it is. We need enough boosters that they can like take us all the way into space. Because then the poodle can do its job slowly. Right, 3 times the boosters seems like a reasonable idea. And we can just ditch this fuel tank and just have 1 fuel tank. Not like that. Like that. This seems interesting. I feel like we require another booster. This must go wrong. This simply must go wrong. Fortunately, we don't need this silly thing anymore. That test has been done. So we can use a launch clamp for this. Yeah. So all these boosters will fire. Then these things will drop because these 2 boosters are just there. Then the poodle will fire and then all these boosters will drop away. Yeah, seems very reasonable. Very reasonable. Let's try that. Right, I think we might be looking at our first Kerbal casualty here. Let's give that a go, Jebediah. Opening the contracts window. The first up will be the Rockomax, of course. Let's fire this. Boom! I think we might make it this time. 360 meters per second, remember? That's the number we're shooting for. Yeah, maybe it will block them, but you know, only a bit. 360 meters per second. Come on, we're at 220. Now it's the air that's holding us back, not so much the boosters. And something that is turning us over. This is not helping. This is not helping. I don't know why it happens like that. Hey, we might still make it. Maybe if we add wings, things will happen more better. Damn it, that didn't work. Right, we'll light it regardless. And we'll try to land this again. Because otherwise all our money has been spent for nothing. This is a nice constellation of boosters. It would have been fine. Yeah, 2 things drained. Those were the 2 smaller boosters. Maybe they were somehow keeping everything stable. I will remove them, add wings to the larger boosters, because that feels like a good idea. And possibly limit the thrust on the SRBs, because it's the air that's causing the problems, not so much a lack of thrust. Problem is though, they're not in 8-way symmetry, they are in 4x2 symmetry, so that would mean lots and lots of thrust balancing. Let's see if landing in the water actually makes things worse, even though we're close to the KSC. That's something I want. Ooh! The ship is still attached, but that flexed a little bit. Rule saying in chat that I could put parachutes on the boosters for money. That does not work in the game yet. You do have to be piloting the stuff you want to recover. Oh shit! Yeah, that was a disaster. You do have to be piloting the things to recover, and if you just drop them and they will be scrubbed by the game, you don't get anything for that. Landing in the water or on land doesn't matter for the recovery value. That's good. I think we need to work with struts and wings. That will make things better. We will of course strut all these boosters to the command pod, because that seems like a prudent thing to do. I'm sure Jebediah is rejoicing with the prospect of being actually physically bolted to an SRB. We'll delete these 2 useless ones that might be blocking. Oh no, 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 we don't want to do this. That might be blocking his. That might be blocked by the Poodle engine. Gosh, I can't speak. Right, adding some wings. You know, for stability and sense. Think that should do it? Yes. There we go, let's try this again. Seems like a sensible rocket, yes? Here we go. I'm doing the throttle even though it doesn't matter. Yes, we're going really fast. That's surely a good thing. We still have some money. Oh, we're actually burning through money. Nice. But the game very much supports this because you just can. I did a successful orbital mission, I did a successful lunar mission, and now I've got this much money. So I suppose it is the point that people do this, where they just explode and fool around. Is it not the place for stabilizing winglets? It should be at the bottom of the rocket, right? Oh yeah, there is a bit lower rocket. That's like, yeah, that's... Okay, lighting the Poodle. Yes, we got the contract. Boom. We made 2,000. We spent like 100 grand making the various incarnations of this rocket. And now we're poodling up into space, maybe. Remember, we are very much working on getting this thing into an escape trajectory. And the chat is convinced that this rocket has a lot of YOLO swag. And I feel like a very old man now, but I do agree. This rocket has a lot of YOLO swag. Oh my god. Nice one. This rocket is also rapidly falling down again. Actually no. The velocity has stabilized at 394 meters per second, and it is now climbing again. Who'd have thought? We actually don't want to establish escape trajectory by going straight up, because we also want to test something in orbit. So here's our pitch over maneuver, guys. Look at that. I think we're gonna fly this thing at ×4 acceleration, because otherwise it's going to take forever. I mean, you've got YOLO swag or you don't, so let's just time accelerate that bitch. Whoa! Oh man, time acceleration is scary, or I'm just not YOLO enough. Yeah, these have been empty for a while now. Oh! They exploded, but the engine was strong enough to deal with that. Awesome. Right. No, this is not real solar system. This is box standard 0.24 though. But completely stock. Right, let's un-YOLO the time acceleration, and now we just need to establish Kerbin escape. There's nothing installed, just 0.24. That's why they call this Twitch. Yeah, good one. If I remember, it was like 3,300 for Kerbin escape. Boom! Kerbin escape trajectory. That means that... Which one can we do now? Kerbin escape trajectory, the LV1R thing. So let's first get rid of... Oh, actually we don't need to get... We can still use the Poodle after testing those LV1Rs, of course. So let's turn that around. Actually, let's activate that. Boom! We don't even need to fire them. We just need to say activate. So, cool. Got some more contracts. And now we need to actually establish an 83 by 93 kilometer orbit. We're too high for that as of yet. But we can reduce our orbit. Yeah, I should probably disable these and then let this blah blah YOLO. We're just firing. And that should be about orbital speed again. Let's see, our apoapsis is... Damn it. Alright, screwed everything up. We are going to go to apoapsis and then establish a proper periapsis. Then do the engine test at that altitude. and then turn around. Chat saying I had an encounter with the moon or Minmus. I did not notice that, but I'm not intending to go to any of these crazy places. They're for young people. Now get off my lawn. What the hell I was talking about? Don't remember. Screw Minmus. Stupid planet. I need to be pointing prograde, not retrograde. So another revolution. There we go. So far I am liking this update a lot. The fun mechanic is really well worked out. I think it is far too easy for my likes, but I can imagine that if you're just picking up this game it will be just right. Because there is room for failure, but not a tremendous amount actually. I mean, if you spend 25 launches to do something, you will run out. So that's good, and I'm sure the modders among us will make things suitably hard. As soon as a mod like that happens, I plan to combine that with, well, all the realism mods, all the real solar systemizers and that stuff, and then make a series out of that with funding and stuff, and make that open to community rocket designs. You guys can then be the contractors working with funds and advancing the program. I think that would be a fun series. So basically a combination between KSP to Mars, real solar, and KSP contracting, with elements of all of it with the point 24 thing. I think I'm gonna do that. Don't also allow me to have just one KSP install and do one series, which is easier. Just easier in my head. Right, so we need to reduce this to 93.5 kilometers. Has the poodle run out? Is that why we're changing so slowly? Yes. So let's ditch the poodle and fire the extra 8 engines so that we may proceed more rapidly. Oh no! We need to do some apsis management where we don't muck up the peri and apoapsis outside of mission parameters. I think this does it though. Yes, now we need to test the LV1 liquid fuel engine. Now I made it so that these things separate, but I could probably just fire it from here and then get the contract, but you know, that'd be cheating, I think. But we can load this up with a little bit more fuel because we have it left in the in the previous stage. Don't want to use too much because that will screw our thrust to weight ratio and just make everything horrible. So we'll ditch this stage. Now fire the engine. And yeah, did we get that? I think we should get that. Now it's saying this is the LV1 engine. Hey. God damn it. Did I do it like this? Run test. Go on. Oh, nice. You can. There is a context thing to fix these things. Nice. So we got all of them, and well, now we actually need the engine to deorbit, and we need to go under 490 meters per second before going below 12 kilometers. So I'm going to put my apoapsis at like 28 kilometers. So I have a fairly gentle braking entry, so that we actually have a shot at doing that. Nice. And we got the contract here, obviously, which is... Ooh, this one gave us a lot of money. Sweet. So now we're actually back up to cash levels reminiscent of, well, what they were before this crazy mission. So yeah, that's nice. Now let's time warp into that braking pass. And then the YOLO swag rocket with Jebediah on board gets to go home again. Well, here we are at 50 kilometers. We need to slow down more. Hopefully the aerodynamic stuff will take care of that. That would be nice. So, I forgot again. We are shooting for 490 meters per second. Just leave that open. Then after this, can consider one more mission, probably to Minmus or something. Do it quickly, or not, or just. I'll have a look at the feature list if there's something else that I need to explore. Because, well, much fun as the contracts and the funds are, the missions are the same. So. Oh, look at that! We will make it. We can do the decoupler now. Boom. Oh shit! That was quick. I don't think it triggered. I fired the decoupler, I think at the right moment as well. Or maybe it was just on the end. Oh, it's because we're at time acceleration. Holy shit, I was wondering why that was happening so really quickly. Oh well. We'll keep this contract for literally any mission, because this will basically happen. It will just happen, you know? Failed that one because I was too late on the deployment, courtesy of laziness and time acceleration. Well, those are the same thing, really. Lazy time acceleration. Are we going to land over water? It's so dark, I cannot tell. Oh, it actually was land, I think. Yeah. We'll recover that. Jebediah finishes another flight. And there we go. Covered that fair ways away. And here we go. So, what now? Mission control. Test the booster. Basically these things rescue Froman. Yeah, these are... I think that we've thoroughly tested the contract system. We have all the money we need. Archives. Look, we did all these contracts already today. That's quite a lot. So, what else do we have? We have the R&D building here, of course. That's pretty much unchanged. Completely unchanged, actually. We want to spend science on something. Do we want this Poodle engine? The one we used before was a test version. We cannot launch that again before researching it ourselves. Do we want stuff like this? I want none. Want no part of this research. It stinks to me. At the astronaut building. Look, we rescued Lodball from orbit and he's now one of ours. What can we build for 367,000? I mean, this thing only cost 43,000 YOLO as it was. That was not a profitable venture. We just broke even on that rocket. Even, yeah, of course it was expensive to launch multiple versions, but we didn't turn a profit in that mission. Yeah, let me just look up the change notes. See if there's anything else I need to show to make full coverage of the... Wow, what's that? Oh, the KSP website has featured streamers now. I want to be on that list. I am getting distracted. I want to be a streamer. That would be awesome. Let's see. The changelog, right. We got the currencies. Part costs are in use. Resources have a cost, we covered that. Mission control. Gene Kerman as advisor. He gave strange advice. Starter contracts. Dynamically generated contracts. Agencies, which offer contracts, yeah, we had that. Vessel recovery, we covered that. Space Center, yeah, there's a time clock on the KSC now, that's nice. We have new UI toolbar, which is mod friendly, so we'll be seeing a lot. We'll be seeing lots of mods making use of that, I think. 64-bit build. Yeah, and that's basically it. Awesome. So I think with that two-part stream of today, we've done a fairly good job of covering everything there is to cover about the new version. I will be making an abbreviated video for the YouTube crowd, and of course, as usual, this live stream, today's live stream, will also be archived there. I think I'm going to end now, actually. Yes, I will. If you haven't yet, subscribe in the Twitters. Not in the Twitters, I don't do Twitter, it's stupid. Or not, but I just don't do it. Subscribe in the Twitches, subscribe in the YouTubes, which is now spammed in the chat. And if you haven't bought KSP yet, try out the demo, it's just on their website, or give it a buy in this second spam message used. Brought to you by Moobot, which is amazing, and well, I just see that the only viewers in the channel are the regulars that I am 100% positive have already bought the game. I'm just practicing to be famous, so yeah, disregard those links, you guys. Archive viewers, you won't see the links. So, no rules, sorry, you're not doing a min-miss mission. I just looked at the clock and there's a little bit lower amounts of time available than I thought there were, and also I'm not terribly interested in a min-miss mission because, you know, we've done them all a million billion times. So not today. Stay tuned for more XCOM streaming, which won't happen today, but in the future, unpredictable as that is. And everything will also be archived to YouTube as always. Same with this stream. So I'm gonna take off now. Enjoy KSP, download the point 24, go to the pub if you want. They should have KSP pubs. Suppose that's just an internet cafe. But enjoy your evening. Until next time, minions. Go forth. Goodbye.